Hi guys. So, first I just want to say I see all of these YouTubers with like super cute backgrounds and all of this, and I don't understand, okay? Because between my dogs and my kids and the husband and everything, like there's like nowhere in the house that's ever quiet unless I was to like crawl in my closet. And when I come outside, it's always something. Either the animals start up or like right now, there's men doing work out on the road. So if I go over there, that's loud. If I come over here, now like the well is making noise. Like, I don't even know. But I don't even know what's going on. So today we're going to talk about the tragic story of 2-year-old Kelsey Briggs. This story is so tragic on so many levels because even though it's an older story, Kelsey died in 2005. But I feel like it's really relevant right now because of all the stories that we're talking about that involve children. And one of the things that we always hear is see something, say something. Well, in this case, people did say something. They spoke up and they went to all the appropriate authorities to try to get help. And sadly, Kelsey still died at only 2 years old at the hands of her stepfather. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about who all was involved in the story and what actually happened. So little Kelsey was born to Lance Briggs and Ray Dawn Smith. She actually was born after they divorced. They were only married for 2 years. They got a divorce, and there was not just allegations, there was DV in the relationship because actually Lance, the dad, was convicted of it. So we know that that actually happened. And when Ray Dawn found out that she was pregnant, she was quoted as saying that she had hoped that her ex-husband was not the father, but with a paternity test, it was determined that he was the father. So the first 2 years of little Kelsey's life appeared very normal. You know, she looked great in her pictures. She appeared happy. You know, I've seen a lot of pictures. I've seen a lot of videos. You know, you can Google her name, and there's actually a tremendous amount of pictures of her. And those, you know, those early months or even years seem like everything was great. I mean, it looks like it was just kind of the tail end of her life where things took this ominous turn. So she had visitation, you know, with her father, but he was in the army. So a great majority of the time, he wasn't like things, some kind of insects. He wasn't even really around. He was stationed. Actually, he even ended up in Kuwait before the story ends. But he certainly was stationed predominantly out of state. So he would see her, you know, when he could, and his family was very involved. But there was a lot of tension between his mother, Kathy, and the mom, so Ray Dawn. And I don't know what their relationship was prior to the divorce. So, you know, I don't know if they ever had a good relationship, but they had a very rocky relationship. And it would be Kathy who would initially start speaking out and saying that she suspected child abuse. Now, where the story gets really tangled is that it's unclear. It's unclear if Ray Dawn ever abused Kelsey. She has a huge network of people who say she never abused the baby and that she was unaware that the stepfather who she would marry in, I believe, 2005, I don't think that he was around very long, that she was unaware that he was ever abusing the baby. But Kathy would say that she would get the baby and there would be bruises, there would be marks on her, and that mom always had an explanation, you know. And some of these injuries that later were reported were not small injuries. Kelsey broke her collarbone at one point, and mom said that she fell out of her crib. Fallen from the crib is something that is fairly common. Once children get to the age where they start trying to climb out of the crib, often there's that dreaded thump sound. And then you have to start kind of thinking about a toddler bed because of the potential of injuries from them, crawling up to the rail of the crib and then falling over. So, I mean, I guess, that could happen. Then there was another very serious injury where, and there's a real injury, but then there's some kind of he said, she said. So the baby reportedly was at the zoo with mom's sister, so auntie, and it is said that she had flip-flops on, like, her legs crossed, she tripped, whatever, and she was taken to the hospital, and the hospital said that she just had a sprained ankle. She then went to Kathy's house for a visit, and Kathy says she couldn't put any weight on her legs, so she went and took her to another doctor, and apparently that doctor also said she sprained her ankle. Kathy still wasn't satisfied, took her to another medical professional who then said that the baby had 2 spiral breaks. And it was listed as child abuse. It actually was said in court that it was documented as child abuse because a spiral break is a kind of very difficult break, and it would involve, turning. And so the doctor felt like somebody had gotten really mad and like twisted up these baby's legs. Okay, so my son, when he was 2 years old, I always have a story. You must think like, my God, what goes on in your house? It's always something. But my middle son, who's now 12, when he was 2, we were in one of those little play areas in McDonald's. Now, I had 2 boys, fairly close together in age, less than 3 years apart. So they were always roughhousing, always falling, always doing something. Never got injured. This time we're in McDonald's play yard, which, it's one of those indoor ones. It has like a padded ground, so you would think this would be very safe. We got ice cream, and all we did was call him over for ice cream. He came running, and he somehow tripped on that. I don't know what he tripped on. I didn't actually see anything on the floor to trip on, but he tripped and he fell on that like padded floor. And I saw like a little bump on his leg, and I didn't think too much of it. I just thought it was like swollen because he fell. But my husband, who's actually a first responder, was like, no, like, I think his leg is broken. And I'm like, from what? Like, he literally, it wasn't a massive fall. He's like, I think that's a break. So we end up going, and actually his doctor's office was like right next door. So I was like, well, let's just rush over there. My husband's like, no, they're going to send us for an x-ray. Let's go straight to the hospital. And we did. And it was a break. And it was a spiral break. So it can happen. I don't know. The way I read it in this story was like, it would be very difficult. I witnessed a spiral break happen, and it was ridiculous. Like, of all the falls my kids have taken, this was like the least bad looking fall, and it was a spiral break. And the doctor had said, like, you could literally, or at the hospital, he said you could like literally fall off a roof and maybe sprain your ankle, or you could like fall the wrong way off of like, the curb for the sidewalk, and you could break your leg. It's all about just how it happens. And I guess when my son fell, he must have kind of twisted on his way down. So in Kelsey's situation, how that actually happened, I don't know. And we have 3 doctors. 2 are saying that, no, it was not child abuse. 1 is saying that it was. But now mom says that it was a sprain when she went to grandma's, okay? Because she went to the hospital, they said sprain, she went to grandma's, it's just a sprain. And she says that even though grandma was quoted as saying the baby couldn't put pressure on that leg, that she saw pictures from that weekend and that grandma was forcing her to walk on her legs. And, a sprain can be very painful. I both in the past have broke my foot and I've sprained my foot. And I will tell you that when I sprained it, it hurt more. So I don't know what the heck went on at grandma's, if anything, but that's what mom says. Mom says that the baby just had a sprain, but grandma forced her to walk on them. And whatever happened or how her legs ended up broken by the third doctor, that she believes a further injury took place at grandma's house. Well, with all of these different, questionable injuries, and I know 2-year-olds get hurt a lot, but it sounds like it was excessive. Like there was always some kind of accident. And not only was grandma trotting her off to doctors for this documented abuse, she was also going to social services repeatedly and demanding that they document all of these bruises, cuts, injuries, whatever. So finally, the baby, after the doctor actually documented as abuse, ends up actually placed in the custody of grandma. And then things really get fired up because it's like every time she goes on a visit with mom, grandma is like, got to document this bruise, got to do this, got to do this. And there was pictures of her face being bruised. There was pictures where she had like kind of a red swollen lump. And mom always had an explanation. So finally, a judge ends up really just kind of fed up. And he takes little Kelsey away from the paternal grandma and ends up putting her with the maternal grandma. So, the baby's bouncing all over the place at this point. And nobody can get along. And everybody's accusing everybody. Mom's accusing grandma. Grandma's accusing mom. And, was there just one person abusing this baby, or was there multiple people, losing their temper? I don't know what may have been going on with grandma, if she was just a grandma who was hell-bent on, finding intervention to keep her granddaughter safe, or was she just vindictive? Her own son was arrested for DV several times. So I don't know if this family also, had some issues with aggression. I don't know. But nonetheless, Michael Porter is the stepfather. And Kelsey will, to this day, say that she never saw any, signs of abuse or of the baby being afraid of him. But his daughter, his biological daughter, who he had custody of, would later report to a counselor that she witnessed him abusing the baby on multiple occasions, including, this is horrible, like him throwing the baby headfirst into a wall, him punching her repeatedly until she threw up. Now let's talk about the throw up. When mom was questioned about, these alleged beatings that would cause the baby to throw up, she said she never witnessed any. She did admit that she would often come home and find out that the baby had thrown up several times. And, when questioned as to why she didn't follow up on that, why she didn't look into that, why that didn't seem odd to her, that the baby never threw up when she was there, but, would seemingly throw up in the stepfather's care, mom really didn't have an answer for that. I don't know. I don't know if she just thought at the time the baby was sick, if she thought the baby was just, I don't know, like upset, that mom was gone. You ever see those little kids that get so upset when mom leaves that they actually make themselves gag from crying? I don't know. When the baby was in the care of the different grandparents, of course, mom was still visiting. And these visits were documented by the social workers who were supervising them. And what they said was that when Kelsey was visiting with the paternal grandparents, she would lash out at them. She would try to bite them. At one point, grandma brought some books to enjoy, sitting and reading with the baby, and the baby would just like hurl the books across the room. But the social worker said that when mom would visit, the baby would be very excited. She was very affectionate with the mom. She wanted to play with her. Is that a sign of abuse, or is that just a sign of a baby that's been moved around so many times and just wanted to be with mom? I don't know. And as far as the stepdad, don't know that he was having supervised visits. I didn't see any documentation of any visits with him, so I don't know how she did or didn't react in his presence. What we do know is that ultimately, mom gets the baby back. Mom goes to pick up her stepchild, so the stepfather's biological daughter, from school. And when she returns, the child is being taken to an ambulance. This is so horrible. At only 2 years old, Kelsey died from blunt force trauma to the abdomen, which makes you think about the previous incidences of throwing up. And it is determined that she was sexually abused. You would think this was going to end here, right? He would get convicted and that would be the end of that. Oh no. Oh no. The grandmother, Kathy, the paternal grandmother, wants her arrested as well. She wants mom arrested. She feels that she either partook in the abuse or was aware of the abuse. And you would say, okay, like, so what grandma wants, right? She's just an ordinary citizen. No, this woman is not ordinary, okay? She is writing to every single politician. She is on the news. She is unstoppable. She is a force to be reckoned with. I will give her that. I don't know, what other elements to the story, because it was a lot of he said, she said previous to the death, but I will say that she was on fire after this baby died. She is all over the place. She ends up literally harassing the prosecutor's office so bad that, and I don't know if this is true, but it was reported that he basically said that he himself didn't think that there should have been charges brought against the biological mother, but it was an election time and this woman was not going to stop until something was done. So it comes down to the mom getting charged with enabling child abuse. Meanwhile, the actual perpetrator who physically killed this child, who was first facing first-degree murder and obviously the SA charges, ends up cutting a deal and ends up only being charged also with enabling child abuse. So that's kind of wacky, right? That's really wacky. If you were going to charge the mom with enabling child abuse because somebody felt that she should have known, okay, that's one thing. I'm not sure because I don't know what she did or didn't know. Do you hear my chicken? But for the actual perpetrator to only be charged after cutting a deal with enabling child abuse, and he ended up testifying against the mom, okay, this piece of shit ends up testifying against the mom that, I don't know, like he saw her, spank the kid like 3 times, whatever. And he wasn't the only one, okay? She had a coworker testify against her that, she actually reported to her, that she had spanked her on her bottom through the diaper with a hairbrush. I don't know, like a couple of other things. But also another coworker testified that the mom told her that the little girl told her that Mike, stepdad, was mean. And this coworker was like, well, listen, you're her voice. Like, if you think something's going on, then you need to say something or you need to look into it. But mom was like, no, she's just like jealous because there's like a new dad in the house, like taking my attention. And the mom essentially blew it off. So I don't know. But as far as the charges, the actual killer was sentenced to only 30 years. And mom, who we don't know if she abused the child or not, we don't even know if she knew about it, gets 27 years. So she gets, who wasn't even in the home when the baby died, gets only 3 years less than this monster who beat the child in the abdomen till it was dead and essayed her. I don't care how you look at it, or even if you think that mom should have been charged in any way, shape, or form. That's messed up. That's messed up. Some emails came out that the paternal family, the grandmother and the aunt of the baby, so the dad's sister, actually were emailing the stepfather. Okay, I don't, like, you hate the mother so much that, like, you want her charged, but you're corresponding with the actual known killer and somebody who essayed her, and were in cahoots with him, like basically saying they were gonna like try to more or less advocate on his behalf for a deal if he helped coordinate and push for charges on the mother. I don't even know what to think of that. Like, that's not justice for the baby. That's you having a vendetta against this woman. Now, I'm all about grandma, you know, being vocal and, you know, not giving up if she thought that there needed to be justice, as far as maybe she thought that the mother knew or helped in this abuse at any point. But it's the fact that you are corresponding with the killer. Now it just sounds like a weird vendetta. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? And if you watch the pictures of the baby, you clearly see that at some point this baby was vibrant and, you know, she looked healthy and happy. And you see this decline. You know, you can see it not only in like physical marks on her, but you can see it in her eyes. You can just see it in her face. She looks like she started to lose weight. She looked like she lost that spark, that spirit in her. So as far as mom, like, to say that you didn't see any changes in her, I don't know how verbal the little girl was, but I mean, she allegedly told the coworker that the child was saying that he was mean. But even if he didn't, I mean, even if she didn't, even if the baby wasn't very verbal, like, I could see changes in the baby looking at pictures. So if it's your daughter and you're living with her, like, you didn't see any kind of differences in her behavior, the way that she looked, I don't know. Do I think mom should have got 27 years? I don't think so, just because I don't know that we have enough proof that she knew anything. Whether or not she should have known is a different story, but I don't know that we have enough information that she did know. But this other thing, to get only 30 years for what he did, and you want to lock mom up for 27 just because somebody cut a deal along the way, or maybe to shut up the grandma because she was, you know, causing a fuss. Gross. 30 years for that, and give the mom 27. Something ain't right. Okay, I don't like it. But that's the story of Kelsey Briggs. She lived only 2 years. In that amount of time, it looks like she suffered a lot, and there's still to this day a lot of unanswered questions about who was really responsible for what, and who, you know, who should have been protecting her. We know that, you know, she was moved around a lot, but sadly, because everybody was pointing fingers at everybody, you know, nothing really got done. So they just kept moving her to different family members, hoping for the best, I guess. So that's the story. Very sad. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about mom's sentence. Too harsh or justified? And tell me what you think about Michael Porter getting only 3 years more than mom after he, you know, beat a helpless child to death and essayed her. Political, you know, or just? Was it done just because they wanted to shut the grandma up during election time? Or do you think it was a fair sentence if he took the deal and turned evidence against mom? Tell me what you think. A lot of pieces to this. Okay, that's it. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.